Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Rethinking Resources. I'm Steve Shade, and in this episode, we are going deep to talk about underground promise, harnessing Earth's heat for urban comfort. Everybody, of course, loves a treasure hunt, and it turns out there is a massive source of renewable energy buried right beneath Vienna. A project called Deeep is on the verge of tapping into it and making the Austrian capital one of the world's first major cities to have geothermal energy become a big part of its future energy mix. To find out more about this ambitious treasure hunt, the progress made so far, and the promise for tomorrow, we have two guests with us in the studio today. Peter Keglovic is the project manager for geothermal energy at Wien Energie. That is Austria's largest regional energy provider, serving 2 million customers. Wien Energie is pursuing a path to become climate neutral in the coming years, and projects like Deeep will be key to making that a success. Also with us today in the recording studio is Bernhard Novotny, head of OMV's geothermal projects and low carbon business. In its effort to make climate neutrality a reality, OMV is a partner in this project and will be contributing key know-how as it moves forward. Welcome to both of you, gentlemen. Let's jump right into the deep end with Deep, starting with Peter. Peter, tell us about this that has been hidden beneath Vienna for the past 20 million years and why its discovery is so exciting.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Let me start by saying that Vienna is a very promising geothermal location. It has advantages over other cities in Europe regarding the use of geothermal energy. And in the eastern part of Vienna, over an area of about 120 square kilometers, we have identified a huge hot water reservoir at greater depths. This water could be used to heat Vienna in the future with CO2 neutral heat. And how did we find this? In 2016, a research project called Geothermal was established. OMV was a major partner in this project, with the aim to analyze the geothermal potential underneath Vienna. And the essential core of this project was to implement a seismic measurement over a huge area in Vienna in order to collect data from the subsurface. And based on this data, we were able to develop a geological model of the subsurface, and that's how we found this hidden treasure.
You make it sound a little easier than it actually was. I've seen pictures of the project as it progressed, collecting data with 16,000 special sensors on special vehicles, sort of moving slowly through the landscape in Vienna. A really cool interactive 3D map has been created now, showing this beautiful blue reservoir stretching out beneath the eastern part of Vienna. For our listeners and viewers, there is a link to the map in our show notes, so check it out, because when you actually see it, then you can actually imagine and see for yourself what we're talking about. Okay, so now you know where the reservoir is, but it's very deep underground. Tell us just how deep and what that means for the project.
Yeah, it's a really cool model we have developed. The geological model gives a clear picture about the geothermal potential underneath Vienna. And it's located in around 3,000 meters depth beneath Vienna in a layer called Adaklar conglomerate. Its formation dates back 20 million years ago, and it contains a lot of thermal water with temperatures above 100 degrees. And we can use this for the district heating system in the future. So the conditions in the subsurface are perfect for the use of deep geothermal energy, but also on the surface, we have one of the biggest district heating systems in Europe. Wien Energie is operating. We have about 400,000 customers and private customers and about 8,000 commercial customers, and they could be supplied with this energy in the future.
Okay, Bernhard, here's where OMV's expertise comes in. Tell us about OMV's role as a partner in Project Deep.
Okay, Steve, also thanks for having me here. And I think OMV and Wien Energie are great partners to do this project, which is a great project. Peter already mentioned they are dealing, or we have to deal with the subsurface. And this is where OMV's expertise is coming in. We are drilling wells in the Vienna Basin already for more than 80 years. So we do have the expertise, especially in that area. This is our backyard. This is our sandbox, like our childhood. This is where everything started in terms of oil and gas exploration and production. And in the end, it doesn't matter what we are producing, oil, gas, or now hot water. We can use this expertise from geology, geophysics, all the way to drilling wells, deep wells, all the way down to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 meters to help in this treasure hunt, finally.
And what we're actually talking about is 3,000 meters. So it's 3 kilometers deep. That's the target where this massive reservoir of superheated water exists that can provide Vienna with a lot of energy. Let's talk about how much energy. I've seen estimates for just how much heat could be produced, but I think it's good to put those numbers into perspective. It's projected that Deep could produce around 200 megawatts per year in the final state of development. So in today's Vienna, with a population of just over 2 million people, how many households would that translate into in terms of benefits from Project Deep?
So 200 megawatts is the goal. Now let's get started. We will start with our first plant at Hydro-Seestadt. This will be around 20 megawatts. 20 megawatts will serve around 20,000 households. Looking at the comparison of those two figures, 200 megawatts will finally serve 200,000 households, which is quite a lot.
Okay, Peter, now that we have a better idea of what Deep is trying to accomplish, tell us why it actually matters. Give our audience a concise definition of geothermal energy and explain what it really promises once you get moving.
Yeah, geothermal energy is defined as the thermal energy or heat stored in the Earth's crust. It combines the heat, the energy from the formation of the planet, as well as from radioactive decay in the Earth mantle. It's a renewable energy form because this heat is produced continuously, and it could be used for heating houses. It's also being used for production of electricity, but you also can use it for bathing, like the Romans did already 1,000 years ago. So it has a lot of advantages. It's, of course, CO2 neutral. It's a local energy form. It's renewable. It's 24/7 available. It has also very small footprint, these plants, and it reduces, of course, the imports of energy like gas. So it's a good thing, and that's why we want to use this energy form, because the energy transition is a very important challenge in fighting the climate crisis, and especially the heat transition is very important. And we want to be, as you already mentioned, we want to be CO2 neutral by 2040, and geothermal energy will play a major role in achieving this goal.
In terms of the technology, there's a clear distinction between shallow and deep. Places like Iceland famously are able to use their shallow or surface drilling. It comes right to them on the surface because the geothermal energy is literally coming up out of the ground in abundance. Here, we're talking about 3 kilometers deep. That's very deep. So tell us what Deep is trying to accomplish and the technology behind it.
Yeah, let me go to the definition of shallow and deep geothermal. In Austria, shallow geothermal energy is defined until a depth of 300 meters. So it's geothermal probes or the use of hot water, ground hot water. It uses layers close underneath the earth until temperatures up to 20 degrees. So this type of geothermal energy is not really used for district heating systems. On the other hand, we have deep geothermal energy. It uses hot water reservoirs at greater depths, which have to be accessed by deep drilling. You produce the hot water then to the surface, and in the surface plant, the heat is then fed into the district heating system. Afterwards, the cooled down water is re-injected to the reservoir back. So it's a closed renewable cycle. You mentioned Iceland. In areas of volcanic activity, you don't have to drill that deep in order to access these hot water reservoirs. They're like underneath the surface, as you said. But in Vienna, Austria, or in the middle of Europe, we have to drill several thousand meters deep in order to get this hot water.
As you already mentioned, once you're able to reach it, it's infinitely abundant. It's clean, it's renewable, it's there 24 hours a day, no matter what the weather is up on the surface. So what is the catch? Why isn't this the hot space already? Bernhard, as you told us, OMV has been studying this and working at this for 80 years in the geothermal energy area. Why has everybody hesitated until now?
Well, Steve, we were searching and researching the subsurface, but we were researching it for different reasons. We were looking into oil and gas. So far, this was and I mean the entire society, this was our energy source. Everything was done with oil and gas. Now it changes because of climate change. We have to change as well. And on top of that, also because of geopolitical reasons, we are very much dependent on resources from outside, and geothermal energy can make us autark. This means we can be independent from other sources from outside Austria. We can produce our own heat.
So Austria is obviously the home base, but OMV has big international reach. So what other geothermal projects is OMV getting involved in?
As we go, we started in Austria, we started in the Vienna basin, so Austria is definitely a target market, but our focus is then finally on Europe.
Okay. The energy market, as we know, has been super turbulent right up until today. Following the war in Ukraine and the rising gas prices, countries everywhere are looking for alternatives and supply chain security. But are these renewable solutions like geothermal coming fast enough?
Nothing comes fast enough. We as society, we always want to flick the switch, turn on the light, and everything is working. Geothermal solutions, also like in older days, the oil and gas solutions, it takes time to develop them. Yeah, and we have already started, and Peter already mentioned this with your first question, actually, that they started with the research and development project Wien in 2016. So we are already 7 years down the road here. So we made big progress so far, and now we are at the point where we execute our first project. Following up project, this will be faster now because we did all our base work so far.
Let's talk about how impressive, how amazing this technology actually is. When you go deep, the temperature rises consistently, and as you drill deeper, it gets much more difficult. The risk goes up, the cost rises dramatically. We're talking about massive pressure, extreme heat, melting drills and melting electronics in the equipment. Deep envisions drilling to depths of around 3 kilometers, as we know, below the surface. You have the technology to do it. Is it going to work?
Yes, we do have the technology. Yes, we did that already. Yes, we drilled already deeper. And your words were extremely dramatic, right? If you are talking with those words, then we are on Iceland or the Ring of Fire, then we are drilling into magma or something like that, then this happens. We have a geothermal gradient in Vienna of about 3 degrees per 100 meter, means in about 3,000 meters, roughly 100 degrees. Electronics, all fine. Steel is not melting at 100 degrees centigrade, so we are absolutely confident that we can make that happen.
But if you want to go to other places in Europe, as you mentioned, it's inevitable that you're going to have to go deeper. I believe the deepest that engineers have been able to go is about 12 kilometers. That's very impressive. But is that the limit? Sorry, Peter, I could feel you were about to jump in.
Yeah, I just want to add, also regarding the next question, it's state of the art in Austria as well as in the neighboring countries to drill around 4,000 meters to access these reservoirs. The hottest geothermal well in Austria is about 125 degrees. It's located in Styria, and it's a little bit beyond 3,000 meters. So it's state of the art to drill into these depths for geothermal energy in middle of Europe.
Okay, but people are fascinated by extremes. Is 12 kilometers the limit, or can we go deeper? Will we have to go deeper?
The 12-kilometer well is the well Kola 1 in northern Russia on the peninsula Kola. Was drilled in the 1980s, and just make a guess how long it took to drill that well. But
I have no idea.
I
Tell
take
me.
that away from you. 10 years.
Okay.
So do you want that? And B, do you need that? The question is, what do we need? And we don't need that. 12 kilometers in the Vienna basin, when you estimate those 3 degrees per 100 meter, then you're at 350, 360 degrees centigrade. Do we need that to heat our houses? No, we don't need that. So we have to make that efficient, and we have to find the right reservoir. And if this works together with the surface, then this is the goal we have to achieve. Extremes are always nice to see and always nice to have. Even OMV drilled in the 1980s, the deepest well in Europe was the well Zistersdorf Übertief 2, and this was more than 8 kilometers deep.
Okay.
Back in the 80s. Yeah.
Okay. There's very little seismic activity in Vienna, but there are worries that deep drilling could cause earthquakes. Several years ago, there was an earthquake in Strasbourg, and some scientists connected that to drilling there. Is there something to worry about concerning earthquakes and deep?
Okay, Steve, thanks for that question. Just to make one thing clear at the very beginning, drilling is never causing an earthquake. But before I continue to answer that question, we did a lot of research over the last 8 years to look into the subsurface, to make the subsurface visual, to see where geological faults are. So geological faults are boundaries between two different geological blocks. And this is where those kind of things, earthquakes, can happen actually. And usually you make this induced seismicity whilst you are injecting water into the subsurface close to such faults. And this is mitigated by knowing where they are and staying away from them.
Maybe, yeah, you mentioned Strasbourg. This project is located in the Upper Rhine Valley, and it's by nature already a very seismic active zone. So the risk of seismicity is always linked to the local conditions, to the local geology. So in order to mitigate this risk, you have to fully understand your geology, your geological structure, of course, and your reservoir. So, and that's what we have done in the research project together with OMV. We have analyzed the data, we have collected the data in order to rule out this risk. And I mean, there are a lot of plants worldwide who are operating successfully. Also in Austria, since 20 years, we have geothermal plants, and there has been no seismic activity detected so far. So it's a really reliable and safe resource.
So if somebody wants to pitch in and says all the Austrian geothermal plants are small, then just jump over the border into Munich. Munich is running lots of geothermal plants already for, 15 years already, 20 years almost, and this is working perfectly fine.
Okay.
Safe.
Peter, are there any other outstanding community impact issues? Are the plants problematic in ways that provoke resistance from people who live near them?
I mean, it's one of the major challenges in the energy transition is to get the people to get social acceptance for these new technologies, and especially also for geothermal energy, it's really important to include the local stakeholders as soon as possible in the project in order to get this social acceptance. And that's what we've done already since the beginning of the research project. During the implementation of the seismic measurements, for example, we informed the public of Vienna extensively. For example, we made events, we organized events, exhibitions where the people could identify with the technology and with the project. And we received a lot of good positive feedback, and we still receive positive feedback for geothermal energy in Vienna. We will continue to do that also for the first pilot project. The PR is already implemented. And for those who are neighbors of these plants, they don't have to fear anything. As I already mentioned, we have a lot of plants in Austria, worldwide, of course, in Austria, several plants in operation, and they're working very good and have no problems.
Okay, so Bernhard, let's get the lawyers involved now. Who actually owns what's beneath us, what's below our feet? Is this a situation where whoever gets there first owns it, or is there any clear legislation surrounding this at all?
That's actually a difficult question, not simply to answer, but let me try to start with what are we producing, because that matters a lot. Yeah? If you're producing oil and gas, it's clear. It belongs to the Republic of Austria. OMV, in this case, here in the Vienna Basin, we are having the rights to extract oil and gas, but we do that for the Republic of Austria. So if you want to produce gravel or sand or whatever, then you are asking for a license. If you get your license granted, you stake out your area, your pit, and you can mine that. Also fine. With geothermal energy, it's a little bit trickier because we are not producing a medium. We are not producing the water. We are just producing the water for a very short time because we are injecting it back into the subsurface. What we take on the surface is only a physical parameter, which is the heat. So we take out temperature of the water, but we do not take the water. So this is the situation at the moment, and we do not have a licensing system for that in Austria. In other countries in Europe, there are license systems. In Austria, not. So the simple answer to who comes first gets served is actually right, but you cannot interfere as the second one into the first project.
Exciting. So you can still get into some legal hot water, so to say.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Peter, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I mean, improving the legal situation for the use of geothermal is really necessary, and it's about time now because Austria has to be CO2 neutral by 2040. And nowadays, it's not a possibility that the legal situation for the production of geothermal energy is in a worse legal condition or position than the production of oil and gas. We have really extensive approval procedures in Austria for geothermal energy, and this is not necessary because we want to produce this energy form in order to be CO2 neutral by 2040.
Okay, Peter, let's stay with you and fast forward to when this will all actually become reality here in Vienna. The Hydros Seestadt GT plant is planned to be the very first one. Do you have a fixed date or expectation for when that will be up and running?
The first geothermal plant of Vienna will be located in a huge urban development area in the northeast of Vienna, the so-called Seestadt Aspern. It will generate 20 megawatts of climate neutral district heating, and we will be able to supply about 20,000 households, as Bernhard already said. We are currently on the way, the approvals are on the way. We want to start drilling by the end of 2024. And after the successful drilling of the wells, we're going to construct a surface plant, and we plan to go in operation by 2027.
2027. Okay, so that's right around the corner, and you'll have all kinds of momentum working there. So give us the vision of what this means for the residents of Vienna and what comes after number one, number two, and when.
After the implementation of the first plant, further project will follow. We want to achieve 200 megawatts, of course. So several plants will be built in Vienna. For the residents, by 2027, 20,000 households will be heated with this renewable energy. And the goal is that at 2040, all customers of district heating are heated with this renewable treasure from underneath their feet.
Okay, Bernhard, let's zoom out now and look at the scalability of this, the big picture view. Can geothermal realistically replace fossil in a significant way?
Short answer, yes. Yeah, it can. Probably not all processes, also industry processes might be trickier because they need higher temperatures. But when we are talking about heating households, and this is a big amount of heat which is needed, then the answer is clear, and this is yes.
Great. Okay. Right now, let's talk about how the energy gets to the plug in the wall. A constraint on geothermal energy is that it really isn't distributed too far from its sources. The Deeep vision includes plans for what are called geothermal highways. Tell us about what these highways are.
Okay, so ideally, you're sitting with your house right above your geothermal source. This is how it is. With every other medium which you can transport, you can put it in a plastic bag and transport it from A to B. With heat, this is more difficult, and it's also quite expensive to transport them. But however, if your source is not underneath your house, but 2 kilometers away, 5 kilometers away, you want to make use of that as well. And this means you have to build a heat distribution pipeline from the source to the network which is already existent. And these are those so-called geothermal highways.
And what are the distances?
Well, it depends on where the sources are. Yeah, this is a very general question actually. In Vienna, it's 3, 4, 5, maybe it's 10 kilometers. The Vienna basin is quite a big basin with lots of potential, and the question is how much do we have to develop, and how far do we have to get out of the city limits of Vienna. The goal is to keep that as little as possible because expenses are quite high here.
Okay. Finally, I'd like to get the big picture vision from both of you, because globally, as this treasure hunt continues and interest continues to grow in geothermal, I'm guessing that any country, state, or community is able to locate these hidden sources of geothermal riches, then able to benefit from them and contribute to accomplishing climate neutrality. What is going to be the reality? What is the picture? What do you guys both expect?
I expect that lots of geothermal plants will be existent and in operation. It's a great source. It makes you independent, which is really the big thing as well. Climate neutrality is one thing, but also independency, and we saw that in this geopolitical situation at the moment is a big plus we are having here. And we can make that. We can achieve that goal, and we achieve that target. And we need the source, we need the customers, we need the money to do that. And if people are willing or companies are willing to do that, this is absolutely achievable.
And Peter, what's your vision?
I'm sure that geothermal energy will play a significant role in urban areas in combination with district heating to provide climate neutral energy for the households. And you just have to look to Munich. They're like a pioneer. They already implemented several plans and continue implementing new plans. And I only can say I wish everybody good luck for their geothermal treasure hunt.
Me too. Peter Keglovic from Wien Energie and Bernhard Novotny from OMV. Thank you to both of you for sharing your thoughts, ideas, inspiration, and of course your insights with us on Rethinking Resources. To everybody listening to the episode or watching on the OMV's YouTube channel, if you have feedback, if you have questions, please send a message to podcast@omv.com. We would, as always, love to hear from you. For more background information on the topics we discussed in this episode and our guests, check out our show notes, where you will find links to lots of valuable information. Thanks again for sharing your time with us, and we hope you will join us again for the next episode of Rethinking Resources.